Good morning, Amador County. I'm John Plasse, Supervisor for District 1, here to give the board report for yesterday's Board of Supervisors meeting, August 14th. The board started off hearing a presentation from Mr. Wendell Peart. Wendell is a frequent commenter at our board meetings and always very concerned about the upcountry situations. Yesterday, Wendell was actually suggesting that Amador County consider rethinking its land use planning policies and move in the direction of a general plan allocation of 5-acre minimums in Amador County. He is concerned about this primarily in the very high fire hazard areas as stipulated on the maps produced by CAL FIRE to provide the defensible space necessary between structures to aid in the prevention of the spread of wildfire and the consumption of many structures in the event of that. Wendell has stated personal experience in that insurance companies are trending in the direction of moving away from even insuring homes in areas that are in very high fire hazard areas, or significantly increasing the fees for such insurance in the event of a title transfer, i.e. a home sale. He feels that insurance costs and availability for homes in the very high fire hazard areas drastically affect our economy and home values, and just was requesting that the board reconsider its land use planning efforts and consider moving towards 5-acre densities. Interestingly, I'm sure there were a number of folks in the back of the room to support the wild and scenic designation that comes up later in our agenda that I'm sure we're thinking this is advocation for sprawl. So how one balances the two issues will continue to be a subject of debate, I'm sure. We moved on from there to hear a presentation from our Natural Resources Coordinator, Mr. John Hoffman, about the Secure Rural Schools authorization monies. These are monies coming from the federal government that essentially serve to replace monies that used to be produced by private enterprise on our national forests, and when the county received 25% of every dollar value of timber harvested in the public lands within our county. Those monies used to provide close to $900,000, in fact in excess of $900,000 per year, that went exclusively to roads and schools within our county. Given the precipitous decline in timber revenues coming off of our public lands as a result of all the environmental lawsuits that have essentially shut that industry down, we now receive essentially a federal handout in place of that. Those monies are this year expected to be about $360,000, so off by 60-some% from what we used to receive. They are required to be distributed in three distribution formulas: Title I, Title II, and Title III. Title I is for schools and roads again. 80 to 85% of the $360,000 will go to equally split between roads and schools. A minimum of 8% goes to Title II projects, which are the Resource Advisory Council, a committee of community members that work with the Forest Service to suggest and fund projects on the national forest that serve to the net benefit of Amador County's residents and her visitors. And thirdly, Title III goes to either a combination of the Amador Fire Safe Council and projects that they suggest, or to fund search and rescue efforts conducted by our Sheriff's Department on those public lands, and other activities that our law enforcement services have to perform on public lands. The board yesterday had to decide on the list of projects that would be put out in a public notice for public comment on, and those will be a few of the projects brought forward by the Fire Safe Council. One was a demonstration garden for fire-safe landscaping plants. It's something that did not receive board favor last year. It'll remain to be seen this year what level of funding, if any, that particular program gets, and the search and rescue efforts. So we will continue to review those later on. Next up was a memorandum of understanding between Amador County and the U.S. Forest Service. This was essentially modeled after a memorandum of agreement that was signed between the Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, California State Association of Counties and the Regional Council of Rural Counties. They signed that memorandum of agreement. Amador County embarked on a more customized, tailored version, if you will, to Amador County and our local Forest Service representatives. Essentially, it's trying to craft a working relationship with the Forest Service that implements a government-to-government relationship between the entities. We will be making some more revisions to that and bringing that back at a subsequent board meeting. We also had a presentation and approved a resolution that requires that any future signalized projects within Amador County, i.e. traffic signals, receive the same retrofit for emergency vehicle preemption that all of our existing signals in Amador County have right now. This is installed on ambulances, police vehicles, and so forth, and allows them to interrupt the traffic signal to provide them safe passage through that signal. We also had a brief meeting on wild and scenic designation, but the two supervisors that brought that to the board, both Louis Boitano and Supervisor Oneto, were not able to be there. Supervisor Oneto currently has to recuse himself on this issue, so we'll bring that back at a later date. After that, a couple of cleanup items on issues up in the Kirkwood area, and we finished up. So thank you very much, Amador County, and go out and make it a great day.